You ever get that gut feeling something's wrong, but you can't explain why? Yeah, that was me, about 3 months ago. It wasn't anything huge. Olivia still smiled when she got home. Still kissed me goodnight. Still asked about my day like she cared. But something was off. You know what the weirdest thing was? It wasn't in the big moments. It was the tiny ones. Like how she started guarding her phone like it held nuclear codes. Or how she suddenly had work calls she had to take outside, pacing the driveway at 9 at night. At first, I told myself it was just stress. She'd been working crazy hours. New boss. New projects. Maybe she was just burned out. I'd seen it before. But this felt different. I ignored it for a while. Honestly, I didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid husband creeping through emails. Until the night I opened the laptop. It started innocent. I was looking for an old recipe we bookmarked last Thanksgiving. Emily's pumpkin bread, or something like that. Olivia had logged into her email on the laptop and forgotten to log out. Not snooping. Swear to God. But as I pulled up the browser, an email popped up. Subject line: Your subscription renewal is complete. Thank you for staying with us. Sender: Desire Connect. Never heard of it. Curiosity got me. I clicked, and that's when the bottom dropped out. It was a dating site. Not just any dating site, one of those find discreet excitement ones. The kind that advertises no strings attached and private connections for married people. Her profile was right there. Username: New Adventures 34. Age: 34. Status: married, but complicated. I just sat there, staring. The coffee I'd poured went cold in my hand. Part of me wanted to slam the laptop shut. Pretend I hadn't seen it. Another part wanted to throw the whole thing through the window. But mostly, I just froze. You ever feel your heart beating so loud you can't hear anything else? That was me. I clicked into her profile. Not much info. Just looking for someone who understands, enjoys deep conversations and new experiences. A blurred out photo. Just enough to tell it was her. Her favorite necklace peeking out. The same one I gave her on our 5th anniversary. I closed the laptop. Walked into the kitchen. Sat at the table. And tried to breathe. Because, honest to God, part of me still wanted to believe there was some other explanation. Some reason this wasn't exactly what it looked like. Spoiler alert, it was exactly what it looked like. But back then, I wasn't ready to admit it yet. I wasn't ready for the truth. The next couple of days were hell. I didn't say anything. Didn't blow up. Didn't accuse her. I just watched. Honestly, I wasn't sure what I was even waiting for. Some kind of sign? A confession? Maybe I just needed to be sure. 100%, no doubts left. Every night, Olivia would come home like nothing happened. Smile. Kiss my cheek. Ask if I needed anything from the store. Like we were still living the same life. Meanwhile, I was drowning inside. You ever try to sit across from someone you love, knowing they're lying straight to your face? It's like trying to breathe underwater. Impossible. One night, after the kids were asleep and Luna was curled up by the window, I grabbed my phone and went back to the site. Typed in the name, New Adventures 34. She'd updated her profile. Said she was looking for deeper connections and moments that made her feel alive. Deeper connections. Right. I scrolled down, heart pounding like a war drum, and saw the messages. Pages of them. Most were harmless. Guys tossing out cheesy pickup lines, probably half of them bots. But a few were real. One guy in particular, Mark D78, was clearly her favorite. Their chats were longer, warmer, flirty in that careful way you do when you're testing boundaries. And she wasn't shutting him down. She was encouraging it. I don't know how long I sat there reading. Hours, maybe. At some point, Olivia wandered into the room, wrapped in a blanket, sipping her usual chamomile tea. "You coming to bed?" she asked. I looked up, managed to smile. "Yeah, just finishing something up." She nodded and padded back upstairs. Like nothing was wrong. Like she wasn't carrying a secret life around in her pocket. I sat there another 10 minutes after she left, staring at the wall, feeling something break in me. And right then, right in that stupid, silent moment, I knew. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't some misunderstanding. It was a choice. And the worst part? It wasn't even new. It had been happening under my nose for God knows how long. The next morning, I woke up feeling different. Not better. Not calmer. Just done. You know that feeling when something inside you snaps? Not loud. Not dramatic. Just a quiet click, like a lock turning. I wasn't going to sit around waiting anymore. I wasn't going to be the guy who just took it. So I made a plan. First step, information. I needed to know what she was hiding. Not just little scraps, the whole picture. While Olivia was upstairs getting ready for work, I slipped into her home office. Her laptop was right there charging. And yeah, I hesitated. For a second. Because it still felt wrong. Still felt like I was crossing a line. But then I thought, she crossed it first. I opened the laptop. It wasn't password protected. Same old Olivia, careful in some ways, careless in others. I clicked into her browser history. And there it was. Not just Desire Connect, but forums. Private chats. An entire Second Life hidden in tabs and bookmarks. My stomach twisted, but I kept going. Messages about meeting up. Conversations about keeping things discreet. No names. No addresses. But enough to know it wasn't just talking anymore. After that, it got easier. Mechanical, almost. I screenshotted everything. Saved copies of her chats. Forwarded myself emails she forgot to delete. I wasn't thinking revenge. Wasn't thinking blackmail. I was thinking survival. Because when this blew up, and it would, I needed to protect myself. I needed to protect the kids. And honestly, I needed the proof for me. So I could look back someday and remember I wasn't crazy. That it really happened. That I didn't just imagine it. That night, I sat across from her at dinner. Watched her twirl spaghetti on her fork and laugh at Noah's bad knock-knock jokes. Watched her lean over and wipe marinara sauce off Emily's chin like the perfect mom. And all I could think was, how do you lie so easily? How do you build a whole life with someone? Share every morning, every fight, every stupid inside joke. And still carve out a secret world where they don't exist. I didn't have the answer then. Still don't now. All I knew was, the woman I married? She wasn't sitting across from me anymore. The days after that were some of the longest of my life. I didn't sleep much. Didn't eat much either. Coffee, maybe a sandwich if I remembered. Most of the time, I just floated. Went through the motions, work calls, grocery runs, bedtime stories. On the outside, everything looked normal. But inside? Inside, it felt like I was standing in a house that had already burned down. Just me, picking my way through the ashes, pretending the walls were still there. By the following Wednesday, I knew I couldn't keep playing pretend forever. I needed to confront her. But I wasn't going to do it angry. I wasn't going to scream or throw plates or beg. I was going to be calm. Clear. Because if Olivia wanted a new life so badly, I was going to give it to her. Gift wrapped and final. First, I made copies of everything. I'm talking printed screenshots, backup drives, flash drives tucked into my sock drawer. Paranoid? Maybe. But I wasn't taking chances. Second, I found a lawyer. Not one of those billboard lawyers with grins too big for their faces. I wanted someone who looked you straight in the eye and told you the worst news without blinking. Took me 2 tries, but I found her. Janine Kerrigan. No nonsense. Mid-40s. Sharp enough to cut glass with her words. I booked the first consult on my lunch break. Sitting across from Janine, I felt like a kid waiting for detention. I laid it all out. The profile, the chats, the secret accounts. She didn't flinch. Didn't gasp. Didn't even blink. Just nodded like she'd seen it 100 times before. Probably had. When I finished, she said, "You want custody?" "Full, if I can get it," I said. My voice cracked a little, but I kept going. "I want to make sure the kids are okay. I want to make sure this doesn't turn into a circus." Janine nodded again. "We'll start with documentation. Quietly. No big moves yet. You don't want her blindsided. She'll get defensive, messy. Let her think everything's fine." Everything's fine. Jesus. I'd been pretending everything was fine for so long. What was a few more weeks? By the time I got back to my car, the weight of it hit me. This was happening. This was real. There wasn't going to be some movie moment where Olivia collapsed in tears and begged for forgiveness, and we somehow patched everything back together. Those days, that version of us, were gone. Probably had been for a long time. I just hadn't seen it. Or maybe I hadn't wanted to. At home, Olivia was making tacos. Music playing in the kitchen. The kids dancing in their socks across the tile. She looked up, smiled. "Hey, babe! You're just in time." I smiled back. I helped chop the lettuce. Set the table. Laughed at Noah's jokes about how real tacos don't have lettuce, Dad. Played my part. Because soon this whole play was going to end. That night, lying in bed next to her, listening to her breathing steady and even, I thought about the first time we met. How she teased me about my ugly gym shoes. How she laughed too loud. How she beat me at cards the first night we stayed up talking until dawn. I thought about the life we built. The inside jokes. The fights. The holidays. The late nights holding newborns and whispering that we had no idea what we were doing, but we'd figure it out together. And then I thought about her typing out messages to strangers, telling them she was complicated but open to adventure. Telling them she was looking for something missing. And here's the thing nobody tells you. It's not the betrayal that guts you. It's the realization that the person you thought you knew, the person you loved, was capable of making you invisible. Of stepping over everything you built together like it was a puddle on the sidewalk. I lay there a long time that night, staring at the ceiling, counting every mistake I made. Every time I let a moment slide. Every time I chose to believe in her instead of listening to my gut. But here's the truth. You can't love someone hard enough to make them stay loyal. You can't laugh enough, or cry enough, or forgive enough to fix what they don't want fixed. You either grow together, or you don't. And somewhere along the way, Olivia had decided to grow somewhere else. With someone else. Without me. The next few days felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, waiting for the ground to give way. I went to work. I came home. I helped the kids with homework. I sat across from Olivia at dinner, pretending like my heart wasn't cracking wider every second. And in my head, I was building a plan. Because once you know it's over, once you accept it, you have to move fast. Clean. Sharp. No dragging it out. That's how you survive it. First thing I did was get the financial stuff sorted. I went through our joint accounts, made copies of every statement from the last year. printed them out at work, shoved them into a plain manila folder I labeled tax stuff, because if Olivia saw it, she wouldn't even blink. Next, I opened a new bank account, one only I could access. Moved half my paycheck there. Left the other half in the joint account like normal. No red flags. I found a short-term rental closer to my office, too. Tiny place. 1 bedroom, small kitchen. Not much, but enough. Enough for a fresh start. Every move I made carefully. Quietly. Because I knew if Olivia caught even a whiff of what was coming, she'd spin it. Cry. Apologize. Swear it was just talking and nothing ever happened. Maybe she'd even believe it herself. And the sad part? A year ago, I probably would have believed it too. One night, maybe 3 days before I planned to pull the trigger, I sat alone in the backyard. Just me, a beer, and Luna curled up at my feet. The stars were out. The air smelled like cut grass and wet concrete. I could hear kids laughing a few houses down, somebody grilling burgers, a dog barking somewhere. Normal life. Life that still made sense. And for a minute, just a minute, I let myself grieve it. Not the betrayal, not even the loss of Olivia, but the loss of normal, the loss of belonging. Because when someone you love betrays you, it's not just them you lose. It's your place in the world. It's your story. And you have to start writing a new one from scratch. The next day, Janine called. "Everything's ready," she said. "We can file Monday if you want." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "Monday's good," I said. Simple words. Simple plan. But in my chest, it felt like someone dropped a brick. Final. Real. No coming back from it now. Saturday morning, I decided to take the kids out. Just the 3 of us. Some pancakes at our favorite diner. A trip to the park. Maybe a stop for ice cream if they didn't melt down first. Olivia had some errands to run. I didn't ask what kind. I didn't care anymore. Funny how fast that switch flips once you finally stop lying to yourself. At the park, Emily climbed everything she could reach. Noah insisted I time his races across the field. They laughed, screamed, lived. And watching them, I realized something important. They were still mine. No matter what Olivia did. No matter how broken our marriage was. Emily and Noah were still mine to protect. Mine to love. And if I had to drag my heart through fire to make sure they had a good life, so be it. Later that night, after the kids passed out on the couch watching cartoons, I sat down with a notebook. Wrote it all out. Everything I wanted to say when the moment came. Not a speech. Not a sob story. Just facts. Plain. Clear. Final. Because when you walk out of a burning building, you don't stand around admiring the flames. You get out. You survive. And you never, ever look back. Sunday morning started like any other. Coffee. Kids fighting over the last pancake. Olivia in yoga pants, sipping her green smoothie like she didn't have a care in the world. If you didn't know any better, you'd think we were a normal family. Happy. Solid. The kind of people you see on Christmas cards. But I knew better now. I saw through it. All of it. After breakfast, Olivia said she needed to catch up on emails. Locked herself in the home office. I sat in the living room with Noah and Emily, helping them build a lopsided Lego castle. My hands moved automatically, but my mind wasn't there. I was rehearsing. Over and over. How it would go. What I would say. What I wouldn't let myself say. No shouting. No begging. Just the truth. And then, the door. Around noon, I sent the kids upstairs to play. Took a deep breath. Walked down the hall and knocked once. "Liv?" Can we talk? She sounded surprised. Sure. Give me a second. When she opened the door, she looked a little frazzled, like she knew something was off but didn't want to admit it yet. I didn't sit down, didn't waste time. I pulled the envelope from my jacket pocket and held it out. She looked at it like it might bite her. What's this? She asked. Her voice cracked just a little. I didn't answer, just watched her open it. Watched her face go pale as she flipped through the printouts, screenshots of the dating profiles, the messages, the email confirmations. Proof. Proof she couldn't talk her way around. She looked up at me, eyes wide. Brian, it's not what you think. Classic. I almost laughed, but I didn't. I kept my voice even. Steady. It's exactly what I think, I said. Silence stretched between us. Long, awkward. Heavy. She tried again. I was lonely. You were always working. I didn't think it would go this far. I nodded slowly. Not agreeing. Just acknowledging. Because honestly, I didn't care about the excuses. I cared about the choice. She made it. Over and over again. She started crying then. Big, messy sobs that probably would have broken me 6 months ago. But now they just sounded fake. Or maybe they were real. I don't know. Didn't matter. The damage was done. I waited until she calmed down. Then I spoke. I'm filing tomorrow. Her head snapped up. What? Divorce. Custody. Splitting the house. It's happening, Liv. She shook her head fast, like if she just disagreed hard enough, it wouldn't be true. We can fix this, Brian. Please. For the kids. I took a deep breath. For the kids, I'm not going to fight you in front of them. For the kids, I'm going to make this clean. But you and me? We're done. She cried harder. Tried to reach for me. I stepped back. Because if I let her touch me, if I let her pretend everything could be fine again, I knew I might lose my nerve. And I couldn't. Not this time. The rest of the day was a blur. We told the kids together, carefully, gently. Said Mommy and Daddy were going to live in different houses, but we still loved them very much. Noah asked if we'd still have movie nights. Emily asked if Luna would stay with Mommy or Daddy. Little questions that made it all feel bigger somehow. Made it real. Olivia sobbed through most of it. I stayed steady. Because somebody had to. That night, I packed a bag. Just the basics. Some clothes. My laptop. A couple of books Emily and Noah had picked out for bedtime stories. Luna tried to climb into the duffel. Made me laugh, even through the ache. I scratched behind her ears and whispered, "Stay and look after them, girl." And then I left. No big scene. No screaming. No slamming doors. Just one last look at the house we built. One last deep breath. And then I drove away. The first night in the new place was rough. It was dead silent. Too silent. No kids running down the hall. No Olivia banging cabinet doors while looking for her phone. No Luna scratching at the back door to be let out. Just me, a half-unpacked duffel bag, and a bed that smelled like laundry detergent and nothing else. I didn't bother setting up much. Tossed my clothes into the closet. Threw my laptop bag onto the little desk shoved against the wall. Plugged in my phone. And then, nothing. I sat on the edge of the bed for a long time, listening to the hum of the cheap fridge, the occasional car passing by outside, and my own breathing, way too loud in my ears. You ever feel like you're watching yourself from outside your own body? That's how it felt. Like I was looking down at this sad guy sitting alone in a crappy rental, wondering how the hell he ended up here. And the truth was, I didn't have a good answer. Part of me wanted to blame her. And yeah, a lot of it was her. But part of me knew I had seen the cracks a long time ago. Ignored them. Covered them up with busyness and good intentions. Because it's easier to believe in what you hope someone is than to accept what they've really become. I tried to sleep. Laid down. Pulled the thin blanket up to my chin. Closed my eyes. But my brain wouldn't shut off. I kept seeing flashes. Olivia laughing at her phone. Olivia slipping out the door for a work call. Olivia sitting across from me at dinner, smiling like she wasn't carrying a secret life around in her pocket. It felt like trying to sleep in a room full of broken glass. Every memory cutting a little deeper. Sometime around 2 in the morning, I gave up. Got dressed. Pulled on a hoodie. Went for a walk. The neighborhood was quiet. Just rows of rental houses and little duplexes, half the yards overgrown, half the driveways empty. I passed a guy sitting on his porch, smoking. He nodded at me. I nodded back. No words. Just two strangers trying to make it through another night. I walked for maybe an hour. No destination. No plan. Just trying to bleed out some of the hurt before it drowned me. And somewhere around the third or fourth block, I realized something. Yeah, my life had just exploded. Yeah, everything I thought I knew had been ripped out from under me. But I was still standing. Still breathing. Still moving. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough for now. I got back to the house around 3. Kicked off my shoes. Collapsed onto the couch. Didn't even bother pulling up a blanket. Just stared at the ceiling until my eyes finally gave up and dragged me under. It wasn't peaceful sleep. It was messy. Tossing. Turning. Half dreams about Emily and Noah calling for me and me not being able to reach them. Waking up every hour thinking I heard Olivia's voice and realizing it was just the wind scraping the old windows. But it was sleep. And for now, that was something. That was enough. The first morning waking up alone hit different. The sun came in sharp through the blinds. No kids jumping on the bed. No smell of Olivia's coffee brewing in the kitchen. Just me. A stiff neck from the couch. And the kind of quiet that doesn't feel peaceful, just heavy. I dragged myself into the shower. Stared at the cracked mirror while the water heated up. My face looked different somehow. Older. Harder around the edges. Like the guy in the mirror had been through a war he never signed up for. And maybe he had. Work was a blur that day. Emails. Meetings. Pretending to listen while my mind wandered 100 different places. It's weird, you know? How you can sit there nodding at a conference call about quarterly targets when your whole world is still lying in pieces on the floor. But that's life. It doesn't stop just because you're broken. It keeps moving. And if you don't move with it, it'll leave you behind. At lunch, I called the kids. Olivia answered. Her voice was stiff but polite. We're at the park. The kids want to say hi. Emily got on first, breathless from running. Daddy! Daddy, guess what? I climbed the highest monkey bars. I smiled so hard my face hurt. That's awesome, baby. I'm proud of you. Then Noah grabbed the phone, shouting about how he beat his old record running from the swings to the slide. I listened to every word, held onto them like a life raft, because no matter how screwed up everything else was, they were still good, still bright, still ours. That night, after work, I picked them up for dinner. Just the 3 of us. We hit our favorite pizza place, the one with the arcade games in the back and the sticky tables that never got cleaned properly. Emily insisted on extra pepperoni. Noah dumped half a shaker of Parmesan on his slice and grinned like he was getting away with something. It wasn't perfect. There were moments when I caught Noah glancing at the empty seat across from him. Moments when Emily's smile faltered for just a second. But mostly, It was good. It was enough. After pizza, we sat in the car for a minute before I dropped them back off. Neither of them wanted to go. Emily clutched my hand. Noah leaned his head against my shoulder. "Will you come home soon, Daddy?" Emily whispered. God. I swallowed hard. "I'll always be close, sweetheart. Always." She nodded. Not happy. Not okay. But understanding, in the way kids sometimes do better than adults. When I pulled back into the rental later, the loneliness hit me again. But it was different now. It wasn't panic. Wasn't desperation. It was just there. Like a dull ache you learn to live with after a while. I kicked off my shoes. Flopped onto the couch. And for the first time since everything fell apart, I let myself think about the future. Not the wreckage. Not the what could have been. But the what's next. Because like it or not, there was a next. And it was mine to figure out. The next few weeks were about survival. Not dramatic survival. Not movie scene survival where you cry into your steering wheel or throw plates against the wall. Just the quiet kind. Wake up. Go to work. Pick up the kids. Smile when you have to. Breathe when you remember. Rinse. Repeat. I found a rhythm, eventually. Monday through Wednesday, work kept me busy. Thursday nights, pizza with Emily and Noah. Weekends, trips to the park, bad animated movies, pancakes on Sunday morning. It wasn't perfect. Nothing was. But it was real. It was ours. Olivia and I kept it civil. Text messages about schedules. Quick handoffs in the driveway. No screaming matches. No public scenes. Sometimes I caught her looking at me, like she was trying to figure out if she still had some kind of hold on me. She didn't. Whatever spell I'd been under had broken the night I watched her hide an entire life behind a glowing screen. There was no fixing it. No going back. And honestly, I didn't want to. One Saturday afternoon, Emily fell off the swing at the park. Scraped her knee pretty bad. She burst into tears, looking around for someone to run to. She found me. Not Olivia. Not some stranger. Me. I scooped her up, held her tight while she sobbed into my shirt. Told her she was brave. That it was okay to cry. That we'd fix it together. And standing there, holding my little girl in my arms, I realized something important. I hadn't lost everything. Not even close. Later that night, after the kids were asleep, I sat out on the little back step of the rental. No stars. Cloudy night. The air smelled like rain. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel crushed under the weight of it all. I felt lighter. Not happy. Not healed. But lighter. Like maybe, just maybe, the worst was behind me. I pulled out my phone. Scrolled past old pictures, Olivia's smile, vacations, birthdays. And you know what? I didn't feel anger anymore. Didn't feel that clawing, burning ache in my chest. Just a kind of quiet sadness. A soft goodbye to the life that could have been. And then I deleted them. Not out of spite. Not out of rage. Just because it was time. You don't rebuild by clinging to the ruins. You rebuild by clearing the ground. Starting over. Brick by brick. And that night, sitting alone with the smell of rain and the faint sound of crickets in the distance, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't broken. Bent maybe. Bruised. But not broken. Not by a long shot. The divorce was finalized 2 months later. Quick. Clean. No courtroom drama. No last-minute breakdowns. Just some papers, some signatures, and a quiet acknowledgement that whatever we had, whatever we were, was over. Custody was split right down the middle. 1 week with me, 1 week with Olivia. Fair. Simple. best for the kids. And honestly, that was all I cared about now. Not her. Not what she was doing. Not who she was talking to. That chapter was closed. Moving day came faster than I thought it would. I packed up my stuff. The few things that were really mine. Some old books. A couple pieces of furniture. Photo albums that didn't make my chest tighten just to look at. I left the rest behind. Because it wasn't worth carrying dead weight into a new life. Olivia wasn't there when I came to grab my last boxes. I was grateful for that. No awkward goodbye. No fake tears. Just me, the movers, and an empty house that didn't feel like home anymore. When I got back to the rental, Emily and Noah helped me set up. Emily insisted on putting her drawings on the fridge. Noah built a pillow fort in the living room that took up half the space. I let them. Because this little, messy life we were building? It was ours. Imperfect. Loud. Full of bumps and bruises. But it was real. That night, after they passed out from all the excitement, I sat out back again. Same cracked step. Same smell of rain in the air. And for once, I wasn't looking backward. Wasn't replaying the lies. Wasn't rewriting the past. I was just sitting there. Breathing. Existing. And maybe that's what healing actually looks like. Not some big dramatic moment. Not some triumphant speech. Just surviving. One day at a time. So yeah. It's not the story I thought I'd be telling. It's not the ending I planned for. But it's mine. And honestly, that's enough.